Happy Friday, everybody. I hope you had a great week. Today is August 19th, 2022, and this is your Friday planning video. If you have money invested on your own in company retirement plans or even 529 college savings plans, I want to wave the yellow flag about one of the most commonly used and most commonly misunderstood investment vehicles. I'm confident that most of you, if not all of you, have exposure to this or have had exposure to this in the past. Quick hint. Although the first ones came about from Wells Fargo and Barclays in 1994, they did not become really popular until 2006 when the Pension Protection Act passed and employers could enroll their employees by default into an investment account in their retirement plan. Prior to 2006, in most cases, if you joined your plan but did not make a choice of investments, you sat in a money market savings account. And as we found so often, without knowing it, many people never changed this. After 2006, with the new law, most plans place newly enrolled participants into target date funds. Those funds with years in the names, you know them, 2025 plan, 2035, 2065, and so on. What are target date funds? These are funds that are based on your age and the assumption that you will want to retire at or near a specific date. And the further assumption is that you'll want to adjust your risk lower as you approach that date. The simple look at it says that the younger the participant, the more stock market exposure, and the older you get, the assets are gradually moved into bonds. Overall, in one respect, this was successful. If your measurement was to have more stock ownership and more stock market participation in retirement plans, of course, nothing is perfect, and there's a weakness in target date funds. I've seen it referred to as the fallacy of time diversification. This is the idea that the longer you're invested in markets, the less risky they are. This is not to be confused with the idea that time in the market is more important than timing the market. Like most things, it's the misunderstanding of the risk that I just mentioned that causes the problems. The logic is that the closer to retirement you are, stocks are riskier because you have fewer years to get gains or recover from any losses. This may be true on the surface, and just if you were talking about percentage returns, as so many of you have heard me say, especially about the market, the moves in this market are not driving me crazy. Why not? The most important thing is to plan for what can happen. This is what keeps me, and hopefully you, my clients, from worrying about this market. We are planned for downturns. If you're in the accumulation phase and the growth phase, you can handle these fluctuations better, as you are not dipping into these monies anytime soon. If you're taking income, and you have to have a cash position while these markets recover. That is what that's the planning we do. When most people are putting money into their retirement plans, and in the case we are discussing, putting the money into target date funds, most people are thinking that those investments that they're building will replace the income they make now when they retire. This is income replacement, and this is where one of the big target date funds shortcomings come into play. As I've mentioned, target date funds will move from investors from stocks gradually into bonds as they age. This is fine, but in most cases, this does not set the account up to be in the position to provide income in retirement. The normal moves is into short-term bonds that are designed not to lose money when you're retired, but not to produce income. There are bonds and bond holdings that can be designed for this goal, but most target date funds miss that mark. The ability to avoid losing money is certainly a goal, but that goal does not always line up with the need for income. While capital preservation seems like a great goal, it will not help pay the bills monthly. Other ways to address this need is to invest in longer-term and sometimes inflation-protected bonds, and the length of those bonds should match your income needs. It's also important to note that the old adage that you should have a percentage of bonds equal to your age, that came about when life expectancy was much shorter. We find now that many people actually live in retirement longer than their working days. If that's the case, unless you have a large pot of money, you will need some exposure to stocks and the normally higher returns that they bring. It is so important to balance all of these risks. Let me know what your thoughts are and we'll review it. Since we're talking about flaws in target date funds, let me use this time to add one more. Like any flaw like this, you should be aware of it, and then you can make decisions on how to handle it. I've been telling you all for years that I'm concerned about target date funds' exposure to international markets. Now, this is important to note. Each of you will have a different level that is proper, but I have found that the longer target date funds are often overweighted internationally. I'm happy to explain my thoughts on this some more. Just ask me to talk to you about it and how we can address it. Finally, let me say that the invention of target date funds and the Pension Act of 2006 together, if you want to give them credit, have done a great job in raising the participation in retirement savings plans and specifically being invested in holdings that will grow and help you achieve your retirement planning goals. That in itself makes these funds successful to a point. Like anything, these investments are marketed that all you need is a retirement date and pick that year, and voila, your investment is perfect. If I've not been able to get anything else across to you in these videos, please note that all of these things require a personal touch. There is no one-size-fits-all. Even if the investment is great, it has to meet your goals. I'll repeat that to you over and over again. Let's keep those goals in the forefront of all of our conversations. Keep in touch, and as the summer winds down, let's find some time to plan for the coming months and the years. Come back next week for a market update on Monday and another planning video on Friday. Like this past week, if there are special topics we'll need to discuss, I'll add those too. If you have something you want to address, please email me or call me. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you soon.